Hey folks, how are you? All right, so here's the budget template that I've been using for a couple of years. Um, I'll just walk right through it, and just so you know, you can probably see these little tabs in them in the Excel sheet. So once I send it to you, if you need to review any of it, it's already built in there. So first things first, typically when we talk about like budgeting and money management, we kind of come from the perspective of sort of holding on to our money and not spending it um, frivolously, if you will. This budget template actually aims to allow a little bit of freedom in terms of spending, but more so in an intentional kind of way. So, ideally, what we want to do is not just sort of budget with the mindset of just holding on to our money, but rather allocate our money intentionally. And so, when we go through this, you'll see that the part of the goal is to get to zero down here, which essentially means we know exactly where our money is going to end. Excuse me, we know exactly where our money is going to go by the time we receive it in hand. I hope that all made sense. Any doodle to the top. So first thing you notice that I have this split up in the first section, which is for anyone who gets paid monthly, like I did when I was working my first job in Ohio. And then the second section um, is for those of us who get paid biweekly, which is most people. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I will pay most attention to the monthly sort of breakout here. All right, so column A just explains what each section is. The first section, which is red, are for your regular monthly expenses. These are the things that you must pay for every single month. You want to avoid, missing payments in this area. Um, so for me, I had my car insurance, my loans, my savings, which is something that I kind of treat like a bill. Gas, waxing, which is extremely important for me, and it, like a personal expense, and then groceries and toiletries because um, eating and living is important too. So these are the things that I have in my first section. The second section are optional expenses. So these are the things that are important that do come up sort of month to month or on a semi consistent basis. But you don't necessarily, have to spend any money in this area. So for me, these are like hair, nails, clothes, eating out, going to the gym, audiobooks, which in fact actually should be in my first section because that's extremely important to me as well. And then here I have like this miscellaneous line, which I'll get to shortly. And then at the bottom, these are your occasional expenses. So things like travel, and when I have it here, I'm thinking of more so like international travel, not like your day to day commute to work. Something like that would should probably go in your first section up top. But things like car wash or tickets, if you live in the city and have a car, you probably might often get tickets. So, it's an expense that you have to pay, but it won't necessarily be month to month. Laundry and then entertainment, going to the movies, parties, things like that. Um, Funny thing is, I initially never had this gift slash donations section or this gift slash donations line, but I've reached the age where, like, damn near every week or every other weekend, one of my friends or cousins is getting married or having a kid. So I'm constantly having to buy gifts for them. In addition to that, you may be in an organization or a part of an organization or association that requires you to pay dues or donate money every so often. So, I was getting sick and tired of kind of being caught off guard and having to pull money from other places. So I built it into my budget and I decide now ahead of time how much money I'm spending on gifts or giving out or just essentially giving away or donating to people. Cool? Great. Let's roll up. So at the top here, there are two columns per each month. Right here we have June, I don't know what happened to July. I guess I didn't get paid. And then there's August. So the first column here is what I call your anticipated column. This is where you actually do your quote unquote your budgeting. This is where you sort of decide or project exactly how much you want to pay for the items in column B, right? So in this area, in your red area, you would most likely already know how much to actually allocate because these are like your bills. These are the things that you pay monthly. Excuse me. So, whatever that loan was, I was paying $80 a month, 200 here. I guess for this month, I decided I didn't want to pay that bill, so I decided I would allocate $0 to it, and so on and so forth. I'd allocate $200 for groceries and toiletries that month, and then continue on down the column until I reached zero. So the idea is that by the time I got paid, I already knew exactly where and how I was going to spend my money. I had an issue with constantly going up over and like overdrafting because I wasn't budgeting properly, and I wasn't making that much money either. I was pretty poor, so um, I often overdrafted, and I was kind of getting annoyed with that. So this helped me kind of know exactly what and where I could spend. So if I thought, oh, all right, you know what, I'm gonna spend $500 um, on parties and entertainment, I'd end up negative 300. I'd see that way before I actually got the check, and I would know like, all right, I need to pipe down a little bit and be a little bit more modest in my spending. Hopefully that isn't the case for any of us in our Delete the Debt group. So there's that. So you do your actual budgeting in column C, and then when you receive your check, you start spending and paying off things as you planned for. So in column D, this is your actual column for the month. And as I said, you already know, like, all right, I already said I'm going to spend $300 on I'm going to put $300 away. You might have decided, like here in this example, all right, I'm going to spend $30 on my eyebrows and my eyelashes, but actually I'm only going to do my eyebrows, so I only spend $7. And with that extra balance of $23, you can reallocate that someplace else. So just some things to note. If you get direct deposit, you can typically go into your account wherever your job is and see exactly how much you're going to get per check. The amount that you put in here should be your amount after taxes. So it should be the exact dollar amount that would be deposited into your account. The second thing is if you are lucky enough to not be living paycheck to paycheck, and you have money left over from each pay period, you should also be including that in your budget, spreadsheet. You want to be as accurate as possible. The more accurate you are, the easier it is to continue using and to stay on track. So you'll see up top here in these two columns, the numbers are positive, and then as you go down each budget line or allocation line, all the numbers are negative. I already have the formulas created within the spreadsheet, so it'll tally on its own. One of the things that's extremely important to do is to make sure that you add the negative. You don't want to forget it and just have like a positive number in here, because then it'll add to your balance and you'll think you have more money than you actually do. And that's very hurtful when you overspend and realize, oh, I don't have an extra $200. Great. So just make sure that you're meticulous and you're paying attention to the details and adding that negative in to denote that you're spending in these areas. And then that's pretty much it. So if you look closely at these, you'll see that some of the amounts that I initially allocated, I either spent less than or didn't spend at all, or I overspent in that area because I have no self-control when it comes to eating out or clothing. So that's pretty much it. the goal, like I said before, is to get to zero in your actual budgeting column, and then you kind of watch it closely when you're actually spending to see how much money you have left over after you've started spending your money. I hope this all makes sense, and for those of you who actually were looking forward to using it, I hope this is helpful. If not, I just wasted a bunch of your time. If it is, I hope I helped you get a step closer to financial freedom. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe. Nah, this is not YouTube.